Rain poured heavily on the cracked asphalt, turning the small roadside bar's neon lights into a blur of color. Inside, a group of bikers sat around the counter, rough, tattooed, leather-clad men who looked like they'd long stopped caring about the world's opinion of them. The hum of a jukebox mixed with the thunder outside, when suddenly, the door slammed open and a small girl, no older than 7, stumbled in. She was drenched to the bone, her pink dress smeared with mud, her tiny shoes soaked. Her wide brown eyes were filled with terror. "They're beating my mama," she screamed, her voice cracking as she gasped for breath. The room fell silent. Even the jukebox seemed to stop. Tank, the leader of the biker group, a mountain of a man with a beard like steel wool and a reputation that scared most people out of town, stood slowly, his chair scraping the floor. "What did you say, sweetheart?" he asked, his deep voice unusually soft. They're hurting my mama," the girl cried again. "3 men, at our trailer. I ran here, 'cause it was the only light I saw." For a heartbeat, nobody moved. Then Tank's expression hardened. He turned to his crew. "Riders," he growled, "helmets on." The bikers rose in unison, leather squeaking, boots stomping. Outside, the thunder rolled as they fired up their engines. The girl clung to Tank's jacket as he gently lifted her onto his bike. "Hold tight, kiddo," he said. "We're gonna help your mama." The bikes roared through the rain, lightning flashing across the sky as they tore down the muddy backroads. The little girl pointed with trembling hands. "Down there. The blue trailer." When they arrived, the sight froze their blood. The trailer's lights flickered dimly, and the sound of shouting came from inside. A man's angry voice cursed, followed by the unmistakable sound of a woman's scream. Tank didn't hesitate. He kicked the door open with one powerful strike. Inside, 3 men were cornering a young woman, bruised, crying, her arms shielding her face. One of the men spun around, startled. "What the hell?" He didn't finish. Tank's fist met his jaw, sending him crashing into the wall. Another biker grabbed the second man by his collar, throwing him out the door into the mud. The third tried to run, but one of the younger bikers tripped him and pinned him to the floor. The woman collapsed to her knees, sobbing. Tank crouched beside her. "Ma'am, you're safe now," he said gently. The little girl ran inside, straight into her mother's arms. "Mama," she cried, clinging to her. The mother held her tight, trembling. "Oh, baby, I told you to hide." Tank turned to the men outside, who were moaning in pain on the ground. "Which one of you cowards laid a hand on her?" he growled. None answered. Tank nodded to his crew. "Call the sheriff." When the sirens finally arrived, the bikers stood guard like silent statues, rain dripping from their jackets. The sheriff, an old friend of Tank's from years past, took one look at the scene inside. "You boys took care of this fast." "They were hurting her," Tank said simply. "We couldn't just sit around." The sheriff nodded. "You did right." After the men were handcuffed and taken away, the little girl approached Tank. "Mister, thank you," she whispered. Tank smiled faintly, wiping a tear from her cheek. "You're brave, kiddo. You did the right thing coming to us." The woman looked up, still holding her daughter. "I don't even know how to thank you. I thought no one would come." Tank looked away for a moment, his eyes glistening. "You'd be surprised how many people care, ma'am. Sometimes they just look rougher than angels." Later, back at the biker bar, the mood was quiet. The storm had passed, leaving only a soft drizzle. The little girl sat by the counter, wrapped in a warm blanket, sipping hot cocoa one of the bikers made her. Tank sat nearby, staring at the rain. One of his men, a younger rider named Ghost, spoke softly. "You think she's gonna be okay?" Tank nodded slowly. "Yeah. The sheriff said her mama's got family in the next town. They'll help her get back on her feet." Ghost hesitated. "You ever think about your little girl?" Tank's jaw tightened. "Every damn day. It had been 5 years since his wife and daughter were killed in a car crash, something he'd never talked about much. But tonight, seeing that little girl's eyes full of fear, it brought everything back. That he turned to look at her now, smiling shyly at one of the bikers showing her how to braid leather. She looked happy again, safe. That was enough. A few weeks later, the mother returned to the bar, her bruises healed, her daughter clutching a small pink backpack. "I wanted to thank you," the woman said. "You didn't just save us, you gave me courage to start over. I found a job, and we're moving into a new place tomorrow." Tank smiled. "That's good news." The little girl stepped forward, holding out her backpack. "I got something for you," she said shyly. She pulled out a crayon drawing, a big man on a motorcycle with angel wings, and a small girl beside him. On top, written in crooked letters, "My hero." Tank blinked rapidly, fighting back tears. "That's beautiful," he said hoarsely. "I'll keep it forever." The girl hugged him tightly, and for the first time in years, Tank felt his heart heal a little. As they drove away, the bikers watched in silence. Ghost broke it with a quiet laugh. "Didn't think we'd be heroes tonight." Tank smiled faintly, looking up at the clearing sky. "Sometimes, Ghost," he said, "God sends angels in leather jackets." The engines roared again, echoing down the empty road, but this time it wasn't just noise, it was a promise. A promise that even in the darkest storms, there are still people who will stand up for the helpless. Even the roughest hearts can shine like steel when it matters most. And somewhere in a small pink backpack, a crayon drawing reminded a biker named Tank that second chances often come from the most unexpected places, like the tears of a little girl who ran into a bar, begging for help.